Hello, everyone. On this podcast episode, I'm going to talk about the biblical prophecy again, about the four horsemen. In the Bible, there's a biblical prophecy that there'll be four horsemen, right? That'll bring about the end of the world. So many people think the word horseman is actually a real entity, as a demonic entity that comes into the world. They don't know that the Bible is filled with symbolisms. There are hidden meanings in every word in the Bible. If you don't understand those hidden meanings, you will never truly understand the Bible whatsoever. And it starts with the example of horsemen. Many people, when they see the word horseman, they think of someone riding a horse, right? And that's true. But a horse doesn't mean what you think it means. Symbolically, the word horse is not related to an animal. It is related to death. And you can see that example in words. Another word for a horse is a mare. When you go to sleep, when you dream, if the dream is a good dream, it's called a dream. If the dream is bad, it's called a nightmare. Right? Another word for the moon, the dark side of the moon that nobody knows. Do you know the name of the dark side of the moon? It's called a mare. That's what the dark side of the moon is called, a mare. Right? So how does that take into effect? How does that play in with the word death? How is that related to death? Well, the moon itself symbolizes death. Vampires only come out at night. The moon symbolizes evil. Even there's a god of death. There's a god of death called sin. And that god of death is the god of the moon. You can Google it. There's a god of death called sin. And that god of death is the moon. The moon is not positive. It doesn't have any positive connotations to it, symbolically. The moon symbolically is related to death, is related to evil. That's what the moon symbolically means. Why? Because the sun brings life. And when the sun isn't around, there's the moon. It's night. And when there's no sun, death comes. Life on planet Earth requires the sun. The sun symbolizes life, because without the sun, there is no life on planet Earth. The sun brings life to planet Earth. And when the sun disappears, death comes. The moon comes. That's why the moon symbolizes death, because the moon's always, is the one that appears at night. Because the moon appears at night, the moon symbolizes death. Because there's no sun at night. So symbolically, the moon will always represent death. And the darkest side of the moon, the creepiest side of the moon, is known as a mare, is known as a horse. That's what a mare is. A mare is a horse. Even, in most fantasies, right? The moon is always negative. Vampires come out at night. Werewolves become powerful during the full moon. Even vampires as well. The moon has always symbolized death in this world. And the darkest side, the creepiest side of the moon, is known as a mare, is known as a horse. So symbolically, a horse is not a positive term. It symbolizes death, because the moon is known as the god of death. That's what the moon is where everything goes wrong. It symbolizes darkness itself. That's what the moon symbolizes. That's why when you have a bad dream, it's known as a nightmare. Why? Because the mare only appears at night. The moon appears at night. That's why it's called a nightmare. So when you see the word horseman, the horse that the horsemen are riding aren't real horses. They're symbolic of death. And that's what the horsemen do. That's what the horsemen are here to do. Bring death to the world, riding their horse. The horse always symbolizes death. And you think the connection is, ends there, but it doesn't. Every word that sounds like horse always has a negative meaning to it. It's always connected to the very word mare, the dark side of the moon. Even the word horseman, right? Do you know what a horseman is? The word horse comes from the word cavalry, cavaliere. You know what a cavaliere is? A cavalier is a knight or a horseman, a knight that brings death to the world. That's what a knight does. A knight kills people. A knight is a soldier that kills people. Even the word cavalry. A cavalry is a soldier that rides a horse. So cavalry are horsemen. They're soldiers that ride horses. And soldiers ride horses to do what? Kill people. That's what a soldier's job is there for. To kill people. To bring death. The word horse has always symbolized death. Even the word horseman. The word horseman, there are many ways to see the word horseman. One of it is someone riding a horse, right? The other one is to take it literally. A horseman. Do you know what a horseman is? A centaur. Another word for horseman is centaur. Because a centaur is half human, half horse. So a centaur is a horseman or horseman. That's what a centaur is. Do you know what a centaur is? Do you know what a centaur does? A centaur, mythologically, in mythology, a centaur is an evil force. A centaur is an evil being that kills and eats people. That's what a centaur is. A centaur is a demonic being that kills and eats people. It's not a kind force. It is the bringer of death. That's what a centaur is. That's what a horseman is. The bringer of death. So the coolest part of the word horse is that there's so many words related to it, like the word mare. Another word for horse is mare. When you have a bad dream, it's called a nightmare, right? Guess what? Do you know what, when someone dies, do you know what they take them to? Do you know what carries them? When someone dies, a person rides a horse. They ride a hearse. When someone died, they ride a hearse or a horse. That tells you that the word horse is what? Always related to death. Even when you die, the thing you ride is a hearse or a horse, right? If you take the S from horse, from the word horse, what you have left is whore, right? If you pronounce it H-O-R-E, you have whore, right? Guess what? A whore is not a positive name either. A whore isn't positive. Why? Because humans do not like whores. We don't call them whores. All you have to do is add a W to H-O-R-E, and you have, the famous word whore. That's what we call people who are promiscuous. That's the name of people who are promiscuous. And do you know why we don't like whores? Do you know why we don't like a whore? It's because they sleep around with people. A whore sleeps around, passing illnesses to people. Because when you sleep around enough with people, you sooner or later catch an STD or a disease. And then you start spreading that disease to the rest of the population. There was a guy that I met in Africa, there was a guy that I read about, right? He was a Russian guy that traveled, from Asia all the way to Africa, sleeping with women. He documented his case online, sleeping with countless women. That was all he did. Do you know what he was doing? He was actually spreading AIDS. He knew he had AIDS before he left Russia, right? But he went to Russia and started sleeping, he went from Russia to Asia and started sleeping with women there, not only passing AIDS to every single one of them. And then after he left Asia, he went to Africa and started sleeping with random women. He went from country to country sleeping with random women, passing AIDS to random women. This is why the world does not like whores. This is why humanity does not like whore. We do not like whores because they're the disease spreaders. They spread illnesses to the rest of the population because they're always sleeping around with new different people. Each person they sleep around with is a chance to catch a disease. Each person they sleep around with is a chance to spread an illness. And these illnesses bring death. These illnesses kill people. That's why they're called a whore, because they bring death to the world. They kill people. And the plural of whore, one whore is one person that sleeps around. Many people are called whores, which sounds very similar to horse. And horse always symbolizes death, right? The word horse always symbolizes death. So here's another connection. The Egyptian god of war is called Horus, or horse. Horus is how it's spelled. But when you pronounce it horse, or you pronounce it horse. It is known as the Egyptian god of war. A god of war, right? A god of war brings death to the world. You can't be a god of war and not kill people. You're not called the god of war if you don't kill people. So Horus is the god of death, because the god of war is the god of death. The word horse symbolically always represents death. It always represents something evil. And like I stated before, if you take the S from horse, you have whore. You have war. Horus is known as the god of war. Hore, the god of war. War, that very word, war, is pronounced whore. It's pronounced war. Related to what? The biblical horseman. Related to what? The animal horse. If you take the letter S from horse, you have whore. If you add the letter S to war, war, you have wars. You have horse. Anything related to the word horse always symbolizes death. Even the word whore, even the word war. Because the god of war is the god of death. And Horus is the god of war. If you don't understand the hidden meaning behind words, you'll never truly understand the Bible, and there are many hidden meanings behind words. Many people never know that the word war, W-A-R, is related to the word horse, H-O-R-S-E. They sound similar, but we don't know that when something sounds similar, it's usually related. It's not a coincidence. If something sounds similar, it's usually related. H-O-R is pronounced whore. W-A-R is pronounced war. They sound very similar, right? H-O-R-S-E is pronounced horse, which symbolizes death. W-A-R-S is pronounced wars, which also symbolizes death. War brings death to humanity. Wars brings death to humanity. Horse symbolizes death. And anything that sounds similar to horse also symbolizes death. This is that world. This is a biblical world. And the biblical world all is filled with symbolisms. If you don't understand this hidden symbolism within words, you will never understand the Bible. When the Bible says there are 4 horsemen coming to destroy the world, it is symbolic of 4 gods of death, 4 gods of wars coming to destroy the world. Because the God of war is the God of death. And the God of death is the God of war. So I don't really take symbolisms too seriously, but it's one of those things you have to understand, that the world is plagued with symbolisms. But most people do not understand that words have hidden meanings. They do. Words have more meanings than you can possibly imagine. The simple word horse, the simple animal horse, has a hidden meaning that you didn't know was there. Because a horse is also a mare. A horse is also a mare. And the mare is the dark side of the moon. And the moon symbolizes death. So a mare always symbolizes death. A horse will always symbolize death. And another connection to the word horse is what? Force. F-O-R, I think it's C-E. F-O-R-C-E. F-O-R-C-E is pronounced force, right? So how is this connected to horse? How's the word force connected to horse? It sounds similar, doesn't it? Well, guess what? It is. You think because it sounds similar, it can be related, right? Well, let me show you why they're related. Why the word force and horse are related. When you want to rule a country, when you want to take something from somebody, let me give you an example. When you want to take something from somebody, right? You either take it kindly, you beg, you ask for them, you ask for that thing, you beg for it, or you take it by force. You take it by horse. You take it violently. And if that person doesn't allow you to take it, you use more force. You bring more violence. With enough violence, you'll kill that person. You can either rule your country, a leader of a country can either rule the country with kindness, or they can rule it by force, with violence and death. You can either rule it by kindness and, compassion, or they can rule it by force. They can become the god of war. They become Horus, the god of war, and rule the world with an iron fist, and rule their country with force, and rule their country with death, by killing anyone who doesn't obey them. by torturing to death anyone who disobeys them. You can either rule a country as a leader with kindness and dignity, or you can rule it by force, with violence and death. The word horse is always evil. The word force is not a positive name. The hidden meaning behind horse, the hidden meaning behind force is evil. Anything related to the word horse is evil. Anything that sounds similar to horse always has a hidden evil connotation that's related to death. Whores sleep around and bring death to the world by spreading illnesses all over the place. They're the disease spreaders. They're the ones spreading AIDS. They know they have STDs, but they spread it anyways. They want to sleep around. They don't care that people die. They want to sleep around, and they have to sleep around. That's why they're called whores. Because horse is the bringer of death. And whores sleep around, spreading STDs, spreading diseases, and bringing death to everyone they sleep with, ruining the lives of everyone they sleep with, destroying the livelihoods of everyone they sleep with, knowing full well they have STDs, knowing full well they have diseases. These whores still sleep around anyways. And there are many cases of these whores doing it. There's some in the US where people blatantly go out of their way to spread illnesses, sleeping around with multiple people just to spread illnesses. They don't care. And that's why they're called a horse. That's why they're called whores. Because they're the bringers of death. They kill people. They don't care about it. You just want to sleep around. They don't care that they kill people. You just want to sleep around. Anything related to the word horse, symbolically, is always evil. So the four horsemen are not riding a literal horse, not the animal. They're riding death itself. They're riding evil itself. That's what the horse symbolizes. When you read the Bible, and you see that it says 4 horsemen will bring the death of the world. Those horsemen aren't riding real animals. They're riding evil things instead. They're riding whores instead. They're riding death instead. The 4 horsemen are the 4 gods of war. They are the 4 gods of death. And that's what they came here to do. Destroy the world. That's why they're known as the god of death. Because they're here to destroy the world. The 4 horsemen will ride 4 horses and bring about the death of the world. The Bible has a lot of symbolisms. If you don't understand those symbolisms, you will never understand the Bible. Words have hidden meanings in them. If you don't understand those hidden meanings, you will never understand the Bible. And you will never understand words. If something sounds similar, it's usually related. It's almost always related. This is that world where if a word is related, if a word sounds similar, it is usually related. It usually has the same hidden meaning that most people will never know of. Because most people do not know that this world is governed by God. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Do you know what that tells you? Words are governed by God. They belong to God, not humans. Humans are born with the ability to speak words. Humans didn't create words. We didn't create the ability to speak words. We were born with the ability to speak words. God's words. So God hides a lot of hidden meanings in words that we don't know are there. There are hidden meanings in the words in the Bible that we don't know are there. Because most people will not, it will never cross their minds that words point to different, there are different versions of a word. There are different meanings inside of every word you speak. Every single word you speak has a different meaning than the words you know, than the ones you know. And those meanings are everywhere. And those meanings were hidden by God, were placed there by God. God controls this world because the world itself is intelligence. The world itself is God. The world itself hides hidden meanings inside words. The world itself is the reason why we can speak words. It's the only reason why we can speak words. Because the world gave us words. The world gave us the ability to speak words. God's words. And that's what you need to know. Words belong to God, not the human race. Intelligence belongs to God, not the human race. Knowledge belongs to God, not the human race. Everything belongs to God, not the human race. So that's it for today's podcast episode. I pray for everyone's safety and understanding. Amen.